Well, hello, my little beauties. How on earth are you doing? It's David Connolly here, the web developer extraordinaire. And this is going to be a no swearing live stream. I'm going to try and stop swearing so much. I don't think I need to swear. So, there we go. How on earth are you doing? I hope you're doing well. Yesterday I received a message that was about this long here on YouTube from somebody who had been trying to get in touch with me to ask some sort of technical question, had no luck, and decided that it was a good idea to write a big long rant about how terrible I am generally. And funnily enough, in this big rant that was an insult to me, my friends, and everything I stand for, this person had the nerve to say, you should start an online bulletin board. Oh, gee. Now you know why I don't start online bulletin boards, by the way. Um, but there are some legitimate things in that comment, and let's not scroll through the comments and all of that. That person is not here to defend himself. I've got in touch and I said, look, join me in a live stream. You can say anything you want. He will be treated gracefully, just as long as I'm given an opportunity to respond. But the essence of the thing was that he had tried to get help at the help bar or something, but he didn't want help, and I think he'd contacted me. I noticed that he'd asked a technical question on YouTube, and he was just having no luck, you know. And then he said, and now you've got now you've moved on to the next shiny thing, watches. Let's not attack this person. Let's instead be graceful and professional. It's ahoy to you, Christian. How you doing, my friend? Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Yeah, let's be, just for once, let's dispense with the ranting lunatic persona, and we'll respond in an intelligent and compassionate manner. Whilst I think his message was a little bit insensitive, I think that he alludes to a couple of perfectly legitimate points. One of the points is that it's sort of difficult to contact me, and I apologise for that. Now, just so you know, I have currently, and I'm not showing off, but the last time I checked, I think I've got about 90,000 unopened emails in my inbox. They're not all legitimate emails. A massive amount of them are spam emails. But I'm having a really, really hard time keeping on top of that. And it's a huge problem. So I apologize if anybody has sent me a message, maybe a contact us request or anything, and you've not heard a response. I'm just overwhelmed, and it's really, really difficult to respond. I'll figure that out though. Just give me some time, okay? Now, if you have a technical question with the framework, some challenge, well, you've got the help bar, which is basically a discussion forum where you can ask questions. And that help bar is frequented by people who know more about this framework than me. People like Simon and Dan. Now, you take Simon, for example. He goes by the name Dafa, D-A-F-A. Let me be perfectly clear. He knows more about how this framework works than me. Now, I mean, you're probably thinking I'm just saying this, but let me give you some hard facts. On New Year's Day, there was a commit of the Trongate framework. It was him. On Christmas Day, there was a commit. It was him. He is doing massive amounts on this framework, and the real difference between him and I is that if I look at the framework and somebody says, what does this line do? I'll figure it out, but it'll take me a couple of hours. He, on the other hand, can look at the framework like that and instantly solve the problem. He earns more than me. He's been doing this longer than me. He tells better jokes than me. And he might even be able to do the moonwalk better than me. Now, Dan has come on board. I know he's been helping a lot as well from over there in America, and was really grateful to him as well. And haven't quite had an opportunity to get to know Dan as well as I would Simon. And I'm sure I'm leaving out other people. But these people are doing this absolutely free of charge. And it's such a privilege for all of us to have access to that type of expertise. I know Simon well enough. And by the way, Simon's in Australia. I don't know if you knew this. Do you know that Australia is the opposite side of the planet Earth from Scotland? Now, why does that matter? I'll tell you why it matters. If a meteorite or a nuclear bomb lands outside, Trongate continues because one other person at literally the other side of the planet has all of the passwords and has all of that stuff. So if anything happens to me, we're covered, right? We thought about everything. We really thought about everything with this. It's not perfect, but we thought about everything. So that help bar is there. And I would be really grateful if you could just leave a little comment. He goes by the username Dafa. He'll be in bed now because he's in Australia. But if you could just write a comment, whether you're live or watching in the future, just write DAFA. That's his username, DAFA. And I'd like if you could type that and show him some appreciation, because I have not paid him a penny. I don't even talk to him much or anything. I don't, he does it all for free. And when you go to that help bar, you're not getting some second-rate people coming along. You're getting help from the best people that you'll ever meet. And that's not just Simon, that's the whole lot of them. It's an incredible bunch of people. And I'm really distressed at the idea that somebody thinks that that's not good enough. They are good enough. They're more than good enough. And I owe them everything. Now, if you really need to get in touch with me and speak to me, well, I'm live streaming usually 6 or 7 days per week, usually for 6 or more hours per day. I'm here all the time. Now, you may not see me here, but that's because when I do the daily live streams, which I do all the time, I'm doing them for the private members area. And some of you are thinking, well, that kind of sucks, right? And it's true. There's a £5, £5 per month fee, right? And that sucks. To be clear, I don't need the £5 a month. I really don't. I'll be fine without it. In fact, I was doing the whole thing for about a year free of charge anyway. But what happened is we had a bunch of jealous, malicious Laravel users coming after us, came after me, and they were just trolling and making everybody's life a misery. And so reluctantly, against my will, I decided I'm going to just start this private area. And if I put in that £5 per month, it's enough to keep the trolls away, but it's also just enough to give people who really want access to me, it gives them an opportunity to do that. And it has been good. It has been good. There's only 30 channel members. And being a channel member is not for everyone. I mean, you basically just get, it's like being in an office, let's say, and instead of coding alone, we work on things, we work on things together. I'm not doing tutorials and stuff. If I told you about some of the things that happen in the live stream, you'd be like, why would anybody watch that? There's been live streams where I'll fall out of bed and I'll switch the computer on, and I'm wearing a gown and I'm brushing my teeth and I'm saying, how's it going? And I can get a bath, get all ready and everything. And then I'll code for several hours, I'm not teaching, I'm just coding. For the life of me, I don't know why anybody would want to watch that. But what I'm trying to do is say to people, You don't have to, oh, look at these animations. That's not me, by the way. This is this software. I don't want fireworks. Whenever I do this, I get fireworks. I don't want, look at the fireworks. I don't want them. I don't want fireworks. Same with this thumbs up. I don't want this thumbs up icon. Look at this. You'll see a thumbs up here. Anyway, what I'm trying to do with the members area is basically put people in a position where they realize that they don't have to code alone. That's the main thing, because web development can be lonesome, you know. I'm currently looking at some software called StreamYard that was recommended by Jamie Opulence, StreamYard, and I'm hoping that I can get the squares set up so that we can literally talk and hang out and be part of the gang. Now, I'm doing all of that, and all of that is available for a $5 a month. Not for everyone, but I'm trying to imagine a situation where I'm learning a framework, right? Let's say I decide, okay, I'm going to learn Symfony, as if I was crazy enough to do such a thing. And imagine if somebody was to say, right, you can have access to the dude who started the framework, let's say, and you can talk to him for 6 hours per day, ask him anything, talk to him, give your questions, comments, suggestions, all of that stuff. And it's less than the price of a frigging Big Mac meal. If I was a normal developer, maybe 5 years ago, I would have jumped at the opportunity. I'd have said, well, I can hang it and we talk it. I'm in. But apparently, some of you, instead of doing that, would rather just write a big long rant about how terrible I am and how rubbish everything is and how I have the audacity to have a hobby. And that's fine. But there we are. I suppose some of us are just different. Now, I've had 2 people, one on the live stream yesterday, Jennifer, and another one a week or 2 ago. Forgive me, I haven't got your name, but who said that they tried to become members and they couldn't figure it out. So I'm going to show you how to become a channel member if you want to, okay? You don't have to, and I'll give you other options in a minute, by the way. But here's how you do it. If you head over to YouTube and look at my channel here, we have some people. Stefan, it's ahoy to you. Gear from up there in Iceland. And here's Carl, new name. Ding, 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 ding. Ahoy to you, my friends. So here's how you become a channel member. If you go to one of my videos, find a video of mine, or just go to the channel, right? So here's one here. This was a miserable failure, this one, right? It was my George Clooney watch. Complete failed video. But if you click on my name, it takes you to the channel homepage here. And do you see how near the top left it says join? And when you click on join, it says join this channel, and that's it. And you click that, and there you go. Now, you don't have to, I'm telling you right now, you really don't have to join. But if you do, you're not going to have great tutorials and we're going to be doing the Lindy Hop or anything. But at least you don't have to code alone. And at least you'll be able to come on and ask anything you want. If you have any issues or anything, you can say, hey man, can you help me with this, that? And I'll be delighted. I'll be absolutely delighted and available. So that's how you do that. Did you all get that okay? Did you see that on the screen there? So I'm just going to my page and I'm clicking this thing here and I'm clicking join, right? Now, if that's not convenient at this moment in time, maybe you're having a financially challenging time and $4.99 a month is too much. That's absolutely fine. Don't worry. I'm still doing public live streams from time to time. Yesterday, I was here for 6.5 hours. I did a 6.5 hour entirely public live stream yesterday. A good time to come is Saturday. I might make this a big old live stream. I don't know. I probably won't. But you can come along to those things. Absolute, that thumb thing is irritating. I apologize. You can come along to those absolutely free of charge and tell me how terrible everything is. You have that option as well, okay? So, is that fair enough? I mean, I'm not aware of any framework maker who is as available. These are, I think, good ways of getting in touch. If you have a business inquiry, which basically means you're not just looking for some technical support thing that I'm probably not able to answer, but if you have a legitimate business inquiry, maybe you've got a project that you need a hand with. Maybe you're thinking about building an app, but you don't know if something's possible. Maybe, like one or two have already done, maybe you're going to be in Scotland and you'd like to just meet up and, have a little Starbucks or something. Okay, if that's the nature of your inquiry, what you do is you head to Trongate.io. I may redesign this, I don't know. You click get in touch and you fill this out. Now, unfortunately, I've had some people who filled this out with PHP questions and stuff like that, and I'm just not able to answer. I apologise, I'm just too busy. But we have the help bar and we've got the members area. Do you know what I'm saying? But if you really need to get in touch with some kind of business inquiry or something like that, or maybe you're going to tell me about how something is happening or whatever, that's the other way, okay? And I think that's reasonable. So I think that's us. And if the guy who left that comment wants to join me on a live stream, he will be treated gracefully and he'll be able to say anything that he wants to say. I'm not perfect, but I think that I'm pretty available, All right. So now I want to talk a little bit about the general state of the framework. Thank you, Carol. I want to talk about the general state of Trongate. I had already pretty much covered this in the news section, but I'll do it here because not everybody can be expected to visit the Trongate site and look at the news. So let me say a few words about the general state of the Trongate framework, just so that everybody knows where we are, okay? I'm going to give you the good, and I'm going to give you the bad, okay? And I'm going to be brutally honest about this. A quick swig of coffee. Okay, here's the good. All right. The good is that after 4 years of development, the Trongate framework is in fantastic shape. It took 4 years and it pretty much annihilated me financially. I think I've made myself unemployable, But here we are, and the framework is in really, really great shape. The framework will never be finished. It gets updated all the time. It gets improved all the time. But if you were to ask me, what would you do to this framework right now? There's always going to be things that we want to do. I want to add multi-language functionality. That's a big one. And there's a couple of, apologies if you hear any unsavory noises, it's this leather here, I can assure you. I'd like to get some multi-language functionality. There's a couple of little things I'd like to do with pop-up calendars, but they're so trivial, at least that type of thing with the pop-up calendars. Even if I get round to doing them, nobody will notice. And what I'm trying to say is, the framework is, it's about as finished as it might be. And now, again, we are going to keep improving it. But if you're thinking about starting a project, especially if it's a project that's going to take a long time, maybe you've got a project that's going to take 6 months or a year, maybe even you've got a project that will take, I had my friend David in from England the other day. He has an idea for a project. He reckons it could take 3 years to build the thing. If you're in that position, Trongate is the best framework in the universe, and there has never been a better time to get on board. I would not have said this 3 months ago. So I'm telling you that we've now reached a point where it's like, we can relax, we can go into cruise control, and it's a really, really beautiful thing, because instead of coding 15 to 20 hours per day, I'm now in a position where I can relax a little bit, maybe even enjoy life, maybe even have a little hobby and start babbling on about watches or something like that. The other day, I almost watched a movie, and it feels nice, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know? Um, so that's a beautiful thing. And it's been really good for me because I was going insane. I mean, I was doing so much coding, it was ridiculous, and I love it. But it's so nice to be able to now relax a little bit and to have the framework in this beautiful state. If there's any security alerts or anything out there, I certainly don't know about them. And Trongate is in really, really good shape. I'll tell you that. This is a robust, ready for action framework. I'm loving it. That's the good. Now, the bad with Trongate, and I'll be quite honest with this. There's a few things that are really bad and that need to get fixed urgently. The first thing is the documentation. Some of you have said the documentation's okay. I think the documentation is garbage. I think it's some of the worst documentation I've ever seen. And I think it needs to all be rewritten. We need to get rid of the welcome to the revolution stuff and instead replace that with here's how you get started. So I want to change the tone and become more economical, you know. People aren't looking at documentation to hear about the history of PHP or something or some rant. So I've already doing documentation takes ages, by the way. There's frameworks that have just disappeared because the documentation wasn't finished. Look at Kohana, an excellent PHP framework that is now discontinued. And why? Because they couldn't finish the documentation. It's a huge job to rewrite the documentation. But the good news is we're about halfway through that. Now, it hasn't been uploaded, but it has been written, and you're going to see that soon. And we are going to have the best documentation of any framework soon. This is a really, really high priority for the framework moving forward. The next thing is, which is related to the documentation, the learning zone. The learning zone on the website has to be redone because I made a mistake. The mistake is the learning zone has got beginner, intermediate, and advanced. I never got around to doing advanced. But the idea was in beginner, you show them the nuts and bolts of the framework. In intermediate, you show them some advanced frameworky stuff. And then advanced, you show them the code generator, the graphical query builder, the module market, and all of that stuff. Do you see what the mistake is? I should have done it the other way around. I should have made it that you do all of the cool stuff at the start. That's the beginner stuff. And then as you progress, you move to the nuts and bolts of the framework. This is such a stupid and fundamental error. I'm quite embarrassed with myself, but that's all going to be getting redone as well. And this is a priority. Finally, I've already redesigned the desktop app. I did it live here and I've had some great feedback. People are liking the new desktop app design. And I'm really, really optimistic about this. I think you're going to love it. Would you like to see the new design? Would anybody like to see? We are live. Ulysses, ahoy to you, my friend. Nice to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Would anybody like to see the new desktop app? I'll certainly be glad to show you this if you let me start my thing up here and I'll show you. So can you see the screen if I do this? Okay, so if we think about the current desktop app, it looks like this. This is the old desktop app. It's coming at you now. Coming at you now. Thank you, Giro. I appreciate it. So this is the current desktop app. And I like it. It's based on a Commodore 64. It's exactly what I imagined. Now, I am on a small monitor here. So what I'm seeing here is probably different to what some of you will see. It's probably going to be smaller for a lot of you folks. Again, this is a small monitor, but that's our current desktop app. Let me show you the new desktop app that's coming out very, very soon. Here it is here. Do you see the difference? So again, I'll put the old one on top of it so that you can, they're actually the same size. You'd never guess. Or are they? Hold on. There we go. So if I do this, there we go. So there's the old, and I'm just going to flip to the new. And if you look at the new, we've got beautiful neon effects going on and everything. And the new is going to give you everything that the old has got, but you're going to be able to keep up to date with all of the news and stuff. You're going to be able to access the module market. You're going to be able to look at the status of the framework. This is what this global status is. So the next time some jealous, malicious Laravel developer pretends that there's a security flaw with the framework and maliciously incriminates himself by publishing a video on YouTube, well, instead of saying, is there a problem, you'll be able to click on global status and it'll tell you, hopefully, everything is cool. It's going to be beautiful. You're going to have a jobs request section because there are people who need help and maybe they'll be happy to pay a couple of shekels. And you're welcome to participate in that process, either as somebody who's hiring or somebody who's looking to be hired, or both. We're going to have the docs. It's going to be fantastic. And this is going to be our new desktop app. I think it looks great. I think it's modern compared to what we've got. And that's what I really want, you know? So that's the three big things, really. We're going to redo the docs. We are going to redo the learning zone, and we're going to get the desktop app out. By the way, which of those three things, quick poll, which of those three things do you think is the easiest? Well, it's Ahoy to Tatia, happy to see you, my friend. And it's Ahoy to our great friend Shibansh, who is now becoming something of a regular. Welcome, good to see you. Ulysses, I never saw you. Did I see you? Ahoy to you and everyone else. Carol, we got Gia, we got Stefan, and of course, the mighty Viking warlord himself, Christian. Anyway, have a guess. Which of these three things is, let's say, the easiest? So the documentation, the learning zone, or the desktop app? The answer is, I'll put you out your misery, the desktop app is the easiest. So doing this and changing this to this and getting this all working is actually fairly easy. I'm hoping that I can have that done within the next month, and we're going to have a really beautiful desktop app here. I think you're going to love it. And by the way, you're not going to have to install anything, if I'm not mistaken. So I want to make it so that you, and I was clicking around my screen and you never saw it there, but I'm going to try and make it so that you can have all of this without having to upgrade or install anything. I think it's possible. And that is the key thing about this framework. Somebody said to me recently, you know, yeah, if you want to keep Trongate, you know, never change it apart from security patches, V1 forever. And it really was quite hurtful because Trongate gets improved and updated constantly. I mean, perhaps more so than any other PHP framework. The difference is we believe in non-breaking changes. And I don't know why that's so complicated. My friend who's over, David, who's sitting right here, and he was saying to me, he's a Delphi programmer. And he was like, that's the norm in Delphi. They improve it, but they don't do breaking changes. Why is that so complicated? Well, we kind of know why, don't we? Breaking changes means you get an opportunity to sell certification. You sold a bunch for Symfony 5. We changed to Symfony 6, break a few things, and now, come on down. Your certificate is out of date. You're very welcome. That's why, you know? Anyway, that's pretty much the three priorities with Trongate. There's nothing about this that should be particularly shocking or anything like that. But I think that once we get great documentation, I think that once we get the learning zone redone, and once we get the desktop app redone, At that point, I think we're going to be fine. In fact, I'm more than confident that we're going to be fine. I think that we're going to see a little bit of growth actually, because Trongate is just misunderstood. On the occasions where I've had somebody criticising it when we speak in private, they say to me, actually, um, you're right, that is good. And so it's a really misunderstood framework. So I just want to educate people as much as I possibly can. Now, I think that's all I had for you today, but we are live. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or suggestions or anything based on what you've heard here? Is this sounding reasonable? I hope so. I do hope so. All right. Well, I'll hang about for a couple of minutes. And then I'm just going to do some coding for the rest of the day. So that's pretty much all we have for you. I hope you're having a good weekend. Thank you, Gear. Bless you. Says sounds great. There you go, you see. There you go. All right, well, that's enough for me. I hope the situation in Iceland has stabilised. I generally don't watch the news these days. I've stopped watching it, but I've seen a couple of headlines that, they just appear even if you're not looking. And some of it's, well, they're trying very hard to scare us all. All I can tell you is I hope the situation's okay there. Gears from Iceland, by the way. All right. Well, thank you very much indeed, folks. Have a fabulous day. And I'll see you soon. Okay. Cheers.